Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very special guest. Her name is Corrine. Is it right? Do I pronounce it right?
It's Corrine.
Corrine. Corrine, great. Corrine.
In French, it's Corrine.
Yes, exactly. Which is why I said Corrine, because I was thinking. When I look at you and when I read your name, I instantly thought that you are French, or at least you have something French in you.
Love it.
But Corrine is American, she's a native English speaker, and she helps people to learn English as a foreign language. And I hope that she will tell us more about that. But before, Corrine, tell us please a little bit about you.
Sure. So I live in Sacramento, California. It's Northern California. It's the state capital.
Okay.
My husband is in medical school right now. We have a 2-year-old son, and we have a dog named Hermione.
Hermione, like in Harry Potter?
Like Harry Potter.
Is she smart as Hermione from Harry Potter?
Yes.
Okay.
She's the smartest dog of her age.
Okay, great. So, tell us, how did you come up with the idea of doing what you do, helping people to learn English as a foreign language?
So my husband and I are originally from Los Angeles, California, and I worked at a community college in LA, and my boss at the time, she hired me to be a receptionist to help administer exams to the students at this college.
Okay.
And I started meeting people who were refugees from other countries. I started meeting immigrants. I started meeting people who had lived in LA their whole lives but didn't know English very well. And so when she transferred me over to start tutoring, I started seeing a lot of people who needed English help, and they didn't know how to take exams in English. They didn't know how to take American exams. They're very different from really anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And then I started meeting a lot of veterans who had trauma from being over in a foreign country. They didn't know how to come back and do life. And then I met a lot of student athletes who were trying to get a scholarship to pay for school. And so I was working with all these student populations, but my favorite was teaching people how to learn English.
Okay.
So I would spend like hours with my other coworkers. It was like kind of like a tag team, you know? I met a ton of people and I loved it. And so I went to my boss one day and I was like, how can I help ESL people? Like, how can I help people learn English? And so she started helping me train to help people learn English. So that's how I got into it.
This is actually anticipating my next question, because I was gonna ask you what is your educational and professional background, but this is like the answer to this question.
Yeah. So my education background's kind of funny. I just graduated with my bachelor's degree in English with an emphasis in ESL back in May, so it hasn't even been a year. But I just went through a lot of training, and my boss really felt that knowledge was more important than the degree itself.
Yeah.
And she saw that I wanted to learn, and I was willing to learn how to help people. So she trained me, and then the degree is like the validation, you know, like, oh, I have the degree, but I also have the job experience, you know?
Yes.
So,
much better. Yeah, so great. So you started like to you didn't do just education before and job after that. You did it at the same time, both.
Yeah, I love people, like all people. I love people. And I wanted to make sure I was doing something that, yes, I loved, but that also showed that I loved people.
Okay, yeah.
So this one, it made sense for me. There's a lot of people in America who feel like people should just know English if they come over here.
Yeah.
And also feel like they're not willing to help these people. No, I was like, okay, there's a need for this, and that's why I felt really pulled to it.
Yes. And how do your students find you?
So usually it's through an organization. So when I was in LA, I worked at a community college, and that's how you got connected with me. Up here in Sacramento, it's a little different. I do it privately because I have my son.
Yes, of course.
So right now, it's kind of by, like, if you hear about me or if you meet me, then, you know, I usually start a conversation with you, and then people are like, oh, can you, like, help my child? Right now, it's a lot of children. Can you help my child, you know?
Yeah.
My husband and I did volunteer through an organization, and it was very time-consuming, helping a refugee family establish here in America. But we kind of, just because of where he's at in his medical training, kind of need to take a break from that a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So, and could you please tell us what are maybe your tricks, how you work? Because I believe that teaching English, being a native English speaker, and all your students, they have some other mother tongue. So how do you do that?
So a lot of it is first helping your students be comfortable
yes.
with you. So I often tell my students, I teach you English, you teach me whatever language you speak.
Okay.
So then I try to learn different words. I don't pick up on the language part very well, but like I learn different words from my students. So I've had Korean students, I've had Chinese students, Spanish speakers. I had one person from Rwanda who learned French, like French was her mother tongue. And then I've had Russians, and I've had Afghan who speak I don't remember what the language is that they speak. So I try to connect with them so that they're comfortable learning from me, but also knowing that they have something to teach me as well.
Yeah, that really comforts a person, I think.
Yeah. And then I try to connect with them on a real life basis. So I try, like, it's nice to meet in my home so that I can, like, teach them, but, you know, with kids, like, it's best to go on the playground or, like, be in their home to teach them because they're surrounded by things that they're comfortable with, things that they have in daily life. And I think that helps them learn the language a little bit better. With the moms, I generally go grocery shopping with them.
Okay.
It's like a daily activity, you know, and I hold up, like, they pick out their things and, like, okay, what is this, you know? So it's constant repetition. When we check out, I make them speak in English, you know, and I help them work through talking with the cashier and whatnot. So it's a lot of it's hands-on. I feel like is the best way to learn.
Yes, it is, because it's not a classical way when you have your textbook, notebooks, and sometimes you're really bored and you don't. It's dull. Yeah, and it's an interaction. You're in the situation and you study at the same time. This is amazing. And how long does it usually take a lesson? I don't know if you have a lesson, but yeah.
So, like, a scheduled lesson's a half an hour, and then we do the practical portion.
Okay.
So, I split it up into 2 areas so that way they're learning new words that they probably wouldn't know if I wasn't there. Kind of like opening, like a textbook to learn another language. And then the practical portion is, like learning the parts of a car.
Okay.
Because you have to go take your driver's test.
Yes.
So in America, you need to know how to say windshield. You need to know how to say where the blinker is. Like, not only know where the blinker is on the car, but know how to say it.
Yeah.
Where's your hazard lights? Things like that, that you wouldn't think of unless you were walking with someone in those kinds of situations.
Yes, exactly. I don't even know what blinker is.
Oh.
So I just got my driving license like a month ago, but in English I still didn't catch up. I don't know what it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, the indicator to turn like left or right.
Oh, okay, great. This is the thing that I have the most trouble with. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think most Americans do as well.
Yeah, because you always forget when to, yeah.
Which way?
Yes, left, right. Oh my God, it's crazy. Yeah. So could you tell us a little bit more about your students now? What's their background?
Yeah. So in LA, I actually had a lot of Korean and a lot of Chinese speakers that I was working with. Yeah. They were women who came over with their husbands. Mm-hmm. So they were, in their like 30s and 40s, trying to pick up another language. A lot of them needed to learn because their husbands went to work events and they wanted to be able to speak English with their husbands at these work events.
Yeah.
And then I had some Spanish speakers, and a lot of the Spanish speakers grew up in LA, but their parents only spoke Spanish. And so they didn't speak English very well themselves, and they grew up in a low-income area. So they didn't have a lot of opportunities to speak English or learn English that well. So when you go to college, you have to speak English. You have to write in English. Yes. So a lot of that was helping my ESL speakers learn how to write better in English.
Oh yeah.
Up here in Sacramento, it's a lot of Ukrainian refugees and a lot of Afghan refugees or Middle Eastern refugees because of either political climates from the past or from now.
Yes.
They've settled in Sacramento. Sacramento is the highest receiving refugee location, making our city very diverse.
Okay.
So there are a lot of French speakers here. There are a lot of different ethnicities of Asian demographics here. So, and then there's a lot of even diversity in the Ukrainian. We have some Russian. We have some people from that portion of the world also. So the city itself is very diverse.
Oh my God, it's great! It's a great news for you.
Yes,
for the teacher, yeah.
I think it's taught me to learn how to adapt.
Yeah.
Because I think the biggest misconception or problem that people have is, well, don't you need to know the language they're speaking in order to teach them English? Yes. And it's not true. I just adapt well to helping them learn English. So I think there's a common misconception that you have to know their language, and it's just not true.
This gives me chills, literally, because it's a great idea. It's what I was always trying to tell my students, Yes, it's like it's psychological. You don't need to speak the same language to speak the same language. So to understand each other, and this is great. The thing you do is really great, and it's important not only for people you help, but also for the whole community of language lovers and language learners. And is there something else you'd like to share with my little community of language learners?
Yeah. I think just love people. Like, be about the people that you want to communicate with. Learn their culture. Like, learn about them. Like, the climate I am in currently is one of not wanting to learn about other people.
Yes.
So I am definitely the minority over here. There's not a lot of people who want to do what I want to do.
Exactly.
So I would just encourage anyone learning another language just to learn about the people also.
Yes, and this is exactly what makes you so special. And I really love it. I really do. I love it because this is amazing. So I really like what you do. You're amazing. And I also like that our interview has become more psychological than linguistic.
Yes, because if you don't remove the fear
yes.
of people, the fear of someone knowing another language, then it almost takes the humanity away.
Yeah.
And you're just looking at words, and you're just looking at things that are different rather than like, this is another human and we're just separated by language.
Yes, exactly. This is beautiful.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's really beautiful what you just said.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So thank you very much, and that was great to have you here.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. It was nice to finally meet you.
Yeah, because we were writing to each other for a long time, but because of the time difference.